what they're kind of leaving out. So if you're feeling like you're missing some stuff, there's gaps, you're getting closer to the graduation date, but it's like not gelling all together, that's what this video is here specifically for. Hello there, my name is Lauren. Welcome back to Social Work Scrapbook. Today, I'm gonna dig into what the MSW program typically doesn't prepare you for. What I wish I knew before leaving my MSW program so that you kind of have that insight stepping out and after graduation. Good luck, by the way, because you're almost there. A major lesson that the MSW program definitely nails into each student is the idea of advocating, right? Advocating for those that don't have a voice, advocating for our clients. That is something that we definitely get. But we don't learn how to speak up and advocate for ourselves as social workers. So this is something that you definitely want to learn while you're in that MSW program. Ask your professors, ask your field liaisons, ask your field supervisors if they've ever had to advocate for themselves and how they did that. I love to hear stories of other social workers that can share how they advocate for higher pay, things like that. Stay tuned because I will be interviewing a social worker that is going to talk specifically about negotiating salary and advocating for higher salary. This is something that I have not done personally. That's why I want to bring her onto my Instagram page to kind of share how to get that conversation started. Some examples in which I have advocated for myself is simply really knowing what I'm worth and knowing that I have a skill set that is unmatched. Honestly. And this is another thing. This segues into my second point, which is a lot of us don't know, like we don't realize exactly how much we know. We're leaving these programs, we're surviving them, and then we don't realize just how much transition has actually happened within us while we're in these programs. So your skill set, what you've built over these past 2 years or more, perhaps, is something unmatched. It's something that others around us are not going through, including other professionals. And that's nothing to be taken for granted. You'll get out into the workforce and you'll realize and see that other teachers, other psychiatrists, other professionals in mental health don't have your lens. This social work lens is very broad. It allows us to see systems. It allows us to build communication beyond what I feel other professionals get. It allows us to read between the lines, think outside the box. All of those are part of your skill set that sets you apart from others. So please, I guess my point here is the MSW doesn't really show you your worth. Does that make any sense? It's definitely showing you and breaking down different communication skills and everything, but we assume that everyone else is going through their graduate school programs, medical programs, law school programs with this same insight, and they're not. There's a lot that's missing, and we kind of are all encompassing of a really finely tuned communication skills, both listening, nonverbals. Everything is kind of really beautifully packaged into the MSW program, and that's what sets you apart from others. Self-care. So self-care is something that right now it's trending so much all over. We see it everywhere. That wasn't the case when I was in graduate school. Self-care, the idea, the concept of self-care was something that I first heard when I was in graduate school. So it was definitely preached about and talked about a whole lot, but the reality of it is lost. So one of the things that the program will not really prepare you for is the idea that self-care looks very different, and honestly, reading your signs of burnout is more important than having a really nice self-care plan. You really need to learn what your signs of burnout are. So I really wish they would preach that. Maybe they are nowadays, I'm not too sure. Our signs of burnout, our signs of compassion fatigue, that's something that we truly need to focus on, truly need to get a handle of before we enter the field that is social work, because we jump in, guns blazing, excited to go, super green, and that's great. I love that. Really high energy, high motivation, but we start to slowly burn out, and this happens without our realization, without really knowing it. I know with me personally, I start getting sick, my immune system is compromised, and I start kind of like slowly breaking down physically. And that's what forces me to take a break, to take a pause and focus on self-care. The last thing that I want to mention, and this is really a big one, I could possibly do a whole video on this, is the politics of the workplace. In my MSW program, we did have to do a hierarchy on our internship. I remember doing that. We had to do like the hierarchy that's on paper that everyone kind of knows, and then the hierarchy that's not on paper. By this, I mean in your workplace where you're working, the agencies are going to have different people that you have to answer to, different ways that you have to speak to them. Never assume that you're higher or above anyone else, because this can definitely come back and bite you. There are certain people that you need to be sure you are in good standing with, and those can be obvious, and some are not so obvious. Everyone from assistants to, the custodial staff, all of these people are resources for you. I don't want you to think that because you have your degree, because you are educated, because you have these letters after your name, that you are somehow in a higher status compared to someone else at the agency or at the school district. I work in schools. Be aware that everyone in your workplace does have a certain strength, and you may know that already, but really lean on those people around you. Delegate if you can, if you need to, so that you don't burn out, as I was saying previously. And also really take time to learn and know who your colleagues are so that you can learn their strengths. As you learn their strengths, they are learning yours, and they become your biggest advocates as well. I really liked how I tied all of that together, because as we know, we can't simply advocate for ourselves. Sometimes it takes the voices of other people around us to advocate. They can really speak to the integrity that we have. So always keeping in mind that the people around you are also part of your networking, whether they be social workers or not. They can be very valuable to your work and to how you serve your clients. Soon to come, I'm going to be creating a video about that transition from student to full-time MSW employed person, right? Like that real world transition. So in the comments down below, let me know what your major questions are about making that transition from student to full-time social worker. Until next time, I'm wishing you so much social work success. Bye-bye.